So before I get started, I wanted to thank Professor Hurt for reaching out to me and giving me the opportunity to speak on something that I'm passionate about and something that I've been doing for a while. If she hasn't introduced me already, my name is Marcello, and I've been eating plant-based or vegan, as some people call it, for a little over a year now. Professor Hurt and I follow each other on Instagram. She used to be one of my professors. And so she sees the different recipes that I make and the different things that I talk about that follow along with the lifestyle. So she reached out and she asked me if I would answer about 5 to 6 questions that give you an insight as to what my experiences have been and what my experiences are right now with eating this way and living this way. And if you're not sure about what a vegan diet is or eating plant-based, it's no animal products. So the first question that she asked me was, why did you go vegan? And this is a question that I get very often. I get it probably like 4 or 5 times a week, believe it or not. And the main reason that kind of sparked my interest was the environment. The environment and veganism kind of go hand in hand because of the amount of resources that go into bringing something to your plate. And when I was educated on the amount of resources that go into just producing, say, a 6-ounce steak or a half-pound burger, I saw it as an opportunity as one person to make a fairly large difference. At the end of the day, we vote with our dollar as to which companies can operate and what kind of practices that we want to see being done. So I did my research. I did a lot of research on the environmental side of things. And to give you one fascinating fact is it takes, and you guys can check this because there's multiple studies that have been done on it. It takes about 600 to 1,000 gallons of water to produce a half-pound of beef. So a burger, for instance, takes a lot of water. Imagine how many showers you have to take to equal that amount of water. And you have to think about how many people are eating burgers every single day, just in America alone. So that was the biggest thing. And that also goes along with like CO2 and methane and nitrous oxide emissions and deforestation. The next thing that is important to me that came kind of after I made the decision to eat this way was the nutrition, the health side of things. I became very passionate about it after I went through a phase of eating kind of a junk food vegan, which means like I had potato chips and Oreos and Fritos, all these things that are actually vegan. They don't incorporate any animal products, but they're not healthy for you. And so I started to see the effects of that, and I switched to a whole foods plant-based diet. And I started to research, and I actually got my certification in plant-based nutrition from Cornell online. I started to research the bioactive components and the benefits of these delicious foods and these incredibly nourishing fruits and vegetables that we have an opportunity to eat. The third thing was the animal ethics aspect of it. The last time I ate meat actually was when I watched a video of a compilation video of different undercover footage of cattle ranching, the industry and its practices. I couldn't support the amount of cruelty that went into how it got from farm to table. Just wasn't something that I was interested in giving my dollar to. And then that brings us to the transition phase of it. So I told you that the last time that I ate meat was the time that I watched this video, but I didn't give up all meat. I gave up all land animals, and so I started eating only fish. I had fish, which they call a pescatarian diet, for about 7 months until I switched to a vegetarian diet, which is vegetables, but still it has animal products like cheese and butter and milk. And then I took the initiative to make that move to a 100% plant-based diet. And that vegetarian to veganism took about 2 weeks. And it took that time because I was trying to formulate like okay, what am I going to have in the morning for breakfast instead of eggs? What kind of foods do I like that I want to keep in my kitchen? So it's just kind of getting familiar with it, researching it more. And overall, once that 2 weeks went by, it becomes habitual. You know what foods you like, you know what kind of meals that you're going to enjoy. And the slow process made it much easier to kind of get into. And also, people think of it as a diet, and when people think of diets, they think restriction on foods. Yes, you're no longer eating meat, but the amount of variety that has shown up in my life since making these decisions has exploded. The vast amount of different vegetables and fruits have made themselves present in my breakfasts, in my lunch, and my dinners. So there's a lot you could do with variety, many new recipes, and just experimenting with different foods that you may have thought you didn't like beforehand, but you actually did really enjoy. So what kind of foods do I eat? I eat a lot of food. As a matter of fact, I gained about 10 pounds within the first 6 months of doing this. And I was also going to the gym consistently, about 5 to 6 days a week. And I never had a problem with energy. I never had a problem with protein deficiency. Of course, you can't see like my actual body, but I never had those skepticisms that are talked about with the uncertainty of going onto a vegan diet happen to me in real life. It's virtually impossible to have a protein deficiency if you're getting an adequate amount of calories. But so what kind of foods do I eat? I eat a ton of different beans. I eat black beans, I eat pinto beans, white beans, navy beans. I have lentils, I have quinoa, I have hemp seeds, pumpkin seeds, all different kinds of nuts, whether it be walnuts, peanuts, almonds. And then I get into the dark leafy greens, whether it be kale or spinach or Swiss chard. I really like Swiss chard. And then there's the fruits, and then there's the grains. I have a ton of bread. I am Italian. I have a ton of pasta. Like I said, there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of option to try new things. And I've loved that. And my mom actually does a lot of cooking. I am very obnoxious about eating this way, especially for my parents' health. You know, you want them to be thriving and you want them to be around as long as possible. So they've adopted it a little bit. They still eat fish, but my mom cooks a lot of plant-based dishes, and she loves I don't like cooking personally. I'm not a huge fan. I rather eat. So she cooks a lot, and she loves the amount of experimenting that she can do. And then that goes into meal prep, right? I do cook about 70% of my meals, and all it really takes for me, I mean, being a student, I'm still a student, I'm a senior here at Southern. It takes me about 2 hours on a Monday morning or Sunday afternoon of just kind of setting up a simple recipe like the one that I have here, which is like black beans and celery and a couple other things, and just putting them in 4 different mason jars. And I have 4 lunches for the week or dinner for the week. And then just having other easy things in the house that you can take advantage of, like Amy's Sonoma burgers or Beyond Meat plant-based burgers. There's a lot of option. Also, people think that this diet is very expensive. It's not. Unless you're eating substitutes, then it can get pricey. Because when you're eating like fake sausage, when you're eating like a plant-based sausage or plant-based burgers, not veggie burgers, but like they have ones that like mimic an actual burger, that stuff tends to get pretty expensive. But when you're eating just vegetables, it's very, I think the word is cost effective, because you can get a big head of lettuce for maybe $1.50, $2, and it'll last you the week or so. So yes, it's very cheap depending on what you're eating. A Whole Foods plant-based diet, it's cheap. These black beans that I have in this dish, they're like 87 cents a can. And they last you depending on what your diet's like. If you eat as much as I do, sometimes it can get expensive just because you have a lot of supplies and you're eating a lot of food. But that's for any diet that you're eating, really. Another question is, what have my challenges been? The only challenge that I have faced, well, there's two challenges. The first challenge that I faced was over the summertime, I was facing fatigue. I didn't have a lot of energy. And this is about 7 months, 8 months after I started the lifestyle. I realized that I was not getting enough B12. And to give you a little idea, and again, you could validate this with your own research, B12 is a bacteria that we have eradicated from our farming processes. Our whole agricultural process is very clean now, and so this bacteria is no longer present in a lot of the foods that we eat. So that's why it's typically found in a lot of meat products. So I take I'll get it for you. I take a supplement, and it's the only supplement that I take, B12. And this one is a plant-based B12. It's not a synthetic B12. And I take one every morning. It's the only supplement I take, and it sets me for the day. That was the only mistake that I made. That was the only glitch in my research, that I wasn't taking enough B12. And there's some foods that are fortified, like nutritional yeast, which is kind of like a salt and pepper additive. It has like a cheesy flavor to it. Another challenge that I don't really face, but I know a lot of my friends who eat this way face, is that they have trouble eating this way in front of their friends because they are afraid of being judged. I am pretty passionate and obnoxious about the way that I eat, just because it's shown so many benefits to me. And so I don't have trouble going out and blatantly asking the waiter or waitress, hey, can I do this without cheese or without butter? And usually everybody is pretty accommodating when it comes to your dietary choices, because at the end of the day, they're taking your money, right? You're paying for it. Again, and some other people will have trouble at home because their parents aren't accepting of it. I, again, am obnoxious, and I took the initiative to make my own food. So in the beginning, I did a lot of my own cooking, and so now my mom is a little bit more on board with it, much more on board, I should say. And so she cooks a little bit as well now, which I'm very thankful for. My parents mean a lot to me, so I want them to be healthy and thriving. But that really covers it. I don't really know if I don't think I missed anything. Those are the things that usually surface when I'm having a conversation about my dietary choices. But if you guys are curious, I will give Professor Hurt my information so that you guys can email me or find me on Instagram, get some recipes. I mean, this is the easiest time to make the transition because there are so many options out there. And there's a lot of companies coming into the market so that they can make money on it. So if you do decide to do it, it'd be cool if you reached out to me on some type of social media, and I can answer any questions that you have. Anyway, thank you again to Professor Hurt. She has actually given me a few good recipes over the past year or so since I started, and I'm sure she can help you. But enjoy your day, and let's see if there's any interest that comes out of the video.